games are going to be played on the 18th fairway at the Edgewood Tahoe Resort Golf Course. Obviously, no fans present for those games. All right, best individual games of 2020 in honor of the very important TJ Oshie anniversary. Best individual performances. That's our draft. Charean, you got a trivia question for me. I'm trying not to look down so I see neither the question nor the answer.
Adrian Peterson, who wants to break Emmitt Smith's rushing record, already holds the record for most rushing yards in a single game, 296 versus the Chargers in 2007. Whose record did he break?
It was Jamal Lewis.
You're right. 295 in 2003 against the Browns. Very good.
Now, who held it before Jamal Lewis? Was it Corey?
That I don't know.
Did Corey Dillon ever have it?
Dillon?
I remember it was Walter Payton for a long time, then Corey Dillon. Thank you. Then Jamal Lewis, then Adrian Peterson. I remember when Walter Payton got 275 against the Vikings back in the 70s. All right, first pick for me.
Let me guess.
This one's easy. Christmas Day. Red cleat, green cleat. Alvin Kamara, 6 touchdowns for the first time since 1965. Nothing more to say about that one. On to the next pick.
Yes, indeed. He did get fined, obviously, for those Christmas shoes, Mike, and he got COVID right after that, too. I'm going to go with Derrick Henry in Week 17 against Houston. He had 34 carries, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Titans had to win that game to get to the playoffs. He put him on his back and carried him. Went over 2,000 yards, only the 8th running back ever to surpass 2,000 yards. Finished with 470 more than Dalvin Cook. A great season and a great game for Derrick Henry.
My next one is going to be Hassan Reddick because he had that huge game. You should have got a better trivia question, or you'd have had the first pick and the third pick.
Thanks,
Hassan Reddick with 5 sacks and 3 forced fumbles against the Giants. Now, it was Colt McCoy, and the Giants' offensive line, but still, Hassan Reddick got it done. 5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and we're going to have an item on PFT about how he's headed toward free agency, and there may be somebody who offers him a significant amount of money based upon the performance from that game.
I am going to go with Tyreek Hill against Tampa Bay in Week 12. How can we forget? 13 catches, 269 yards, 3 touchdowns against Carlton Davis, and the Chiefs apparently forgot that Carlton Davis played for the Bucs because they didn't look for him in the Super Bowl. But remember in that game, Mike, that Tyreek Hill was on pace for almost 1,000 yards after the first quarter. He had 203 yards, 7 catches, 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Just an outstanding, especially first quarter, but an outstanding game overall by Tyreek Hill.
You know, and in that game, Patrick Mahomes was on pace for over 700 passing yards, which would have shattered the long-standing Norm Van Brocklin record from 1951 of 554. And it's 554 or 556. I think it's 554. I'm going to remember this one of these days. Either way, Mahomes was on pace to break it. And another guy, and Mahomes didn't. He played the second half, and obviously he didn't. Another guy didn't get a chance. If only the Lions weren't so bad, the Buccaneers wouldn't have been blowing them out, and they would have left Tom Brady on the field for the second half of that Saturday game in December when Brady had, for one half of the game, 348 and 4 touchdowns in one half. You double that, you almost have 700, and you have 8 touchdowns. I know it may not have been quite as easy, but he was making it look pretty easy. And I think that's one of the things that gets in the way of somebody breaking the Van Brocklin record. Unless your defense is horrible and it's a shootout, at some point you're going to be up by so many points in the game, they're going to get you off of the field. I'm surprised Mr. No Risk It, No Biscuit didn't let Brady, in the state where he went to college, set the single game record for passing yardage. I really thought we'd see him in the second half of that game instead of Blaine Gabbert.
But we didn't, Mike, so he didn't get a chance to break that record. But you know a guy who did break a record this year, and this one was really hard because there's so many good ones left. But Jeremy Chinn, the rookie for the Panthers, scored back-to-back defensive touchdowns 2 plays in a row, ran a fumble in for 18 yards for a touchdown, came back on the next play, a fumble 28 yards for a touchdown in Week 12 against the Vikings. He also had 13 tackles and a forced fumble in that game. Just an outstanding performance. Probably should have gotten more consideration for defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year. He didn't, of course, because Chase Young ran away with that award. But he had a great rookie season, and especially a great game that week against the Vikings.
And I remember watching that game, and what will happen is it reminded me of a performance from Tavon Austin several years ago with the Rams, where you look up and you think, oh, they're showing a replay of his, oh no, wait, that's another one. That happened with 3 for Tavon Austin in a Rams game, and that happened back-to-back for Jeremy Chin, and I could have swore it was just, oh, that's a replay. Well, wait a minute, something's different about that one. Yeah, it's a different play, it's a different drive, it's a different touchdown, and the Vikings still somehow found a way to win that game. That was one of the more exciting regular season games of the year, but that's a great one from you. I'd forgotten about that one. I think I pushed that one out of my memory. Great selections. One other one I had Jonathan Taylor. He had 253 yards week 15, which is when the rookies are supposed to have hit the wall. And also Aaron Rodgers way back in week 1 at Minnesota. That kind of set the tone with 4 touchdown passes and just shredded the Vikings defense. Any others on your list that we didn't get to?
Yeah, well, I had DeAndre Hopkins catching the Hail Murray. And that was a huge game. He had 7 catches, 127 yards, and a touchdown. But I don't know that they make the Hail Murray without him. Devin White, you could have picked any of his postseason games. He only played 3. He missed the first one with COVID. He was outstanding in all 3 of those games, couple interceptions. And then I had Dak Prescott, but it came at a loss. But he passed for 502 yards against the Browns, 4 touchdowns. It ended up being the most yards that any quarterback passed for this season.
And Ben Roethlisberger had over 500 yards against the Browns in the playoffs, in large part because the Steelers were getting the crap kicked out of them, and they needed to throw and throw and throw. By the way, the Norm Van Brocklin game, 554 yards. The opposing quarterbacks, 3 of them in the game, combined for 63 passing yards as the Rams beat the New York Yanks 54-14. So they ran up the score to get Norm Van Brocklin to 554. And that, to me, is the most amazing record that has stayed as long as it has because it happened back in 1951.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.